What's up, guys? It's Rantium here, and today we are back in Skyrim. Now that's right, you guys, and oh snap, is it gonna be an awesome freaking day? So, guys, welcome back, and happy Weapon Wednesday. So out of all the mods you voted for on last week's episode, and this is the one that won, but don't forget, down there in the comment section, vote 1, 2, or 3, or check out the poll in the top right-hand corner to see which mod we're voting on for next week's episode. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the Scottish Basket Hilt Broadswords, kind of a freaking word sandwich for today's mod showcase title, but let's go ahead and take a look at these, shall we? So the Scottish Basket Hilt Broadswords number 2 SE is the full name of the mod. Now, I have two of them in my hand at the moment. I'm currently holding the Daedric one as well as the Ebony one. Now, how exactly do you acquire these beautifully done swords? Well, you craft them, and it goes all the way up to Dragon Bone. Now we're gonna go and take a look at all of them inside of here. So we have all of them besides Elven. I wasn't able to find if there was an Elven one, which I don't think there was, but all of them are just about the same. They all have the same design, but different damage values and colors, obviously. The most most damage one being, let's see, we have the Daedric one right there, and then the Dragon Bone being the most damage for those. And you can indeed temper them, making them better. We'll check at the end of the showcase to see if you can enchant them, so stay tuned for that. But let's get a little bit of a closer look at these weapons. So I'm only going to show you up close with a couple of them in my hands, that is, but we're going to take a look at all of them in the toggle collision mode. Now, the weapons themselves are beautifully rendered. If you can see, those are right in my hands, and the protection that offers, one for the the wearer's hands or for the user's hands, is really cool. But the textures, they don't lose any of the resolution the closer you get, and I'm going to prove that to you. So let's go ahead and drop my favorite out of all of them, the Ebony one. Now the reason the Ebony one is my favorite is because of this. If we go ahead and take a look at the blade, look at the etchings and the design on the actual blade. Beautifully done. Now, as we move from the bottom with the pommel and the shield for our hands, or I should say the basket hilt, we have these lovely rendered, what are these? They're little, it's like it's not a cloth, it's, the hell's it? I don't remember what it's. A yarn. It's probably normally yarn, but I love how you can see each individual piece of yarn, because each of them is rendered, and that's kind of cool. And then you have this really nice little pommel at the bottom with the yarn sticking out. And what's cool is if you go through here, the inside of the sword is indeed rendered, and you can see the different textures with the the metal wrapping on the actual handle, and then the basket that covers it. Kind of cool. But the blade itself is beautifully done. I love the design. I love how the design doesn't cover the entire thing, because if it would have covered the entire thing, it would have looked like somebody just took like the sword and dumped it into like the wraps that you do for like car doors and stuff like that, and like different rims. It would have looked like that. But I like how the bevel of the blade is the regular bare blade, and then you've got this rectangular spot right here that starts the blade. Really cool. Really well done. Now let's go and take a look at another one of them, shall we? So that was the Ebony one. Let's go ahead, let's take a look at the Daedric one. So the Daedric one, obviously having the red and black influence of the Daedric weapons, but what I love is this one, it looks a little more tarnished on the the actual cover, and then the handle itself is just kind of like this nice worn leather look. Looks like it's been used for quite a while. Not to mention you have the black and red spindles at the bottom, and then the red and gray and steel accents up the blade. Super beautifully done. I love the texture work in this mod. They're super high resolution too, and I really like that. Now the Dragon Bone. The Dragon Bone obviously is going to be made out of dragon bone, but if we go ahead and take a little bit of a closer look, it looks like a regular steel blade. In fact, it looks like the Daedric blade, just with a little bit different tint. I gotta say, it's not my favorite, but down here it looks to be where most of the work has gone into. Now I would imagine the blade and the pommel is supposed to be dragon bone, because I don't really know if it looks that way though. It just looks like rusted metal almost. But this one has a nice wooden handle as opposed to the leather handle that we've seen on the two prior, which is really cool. And then we have this nice kind of stamped metal around the entire basket, which is really pretty. Now let's go and take a look at a couple of the other ones. Let's see. Let's single a couple of them out. So the glass one, this one just looks a little weird to me. Glass weapons have always looked weird to me, but overall you have the nice leather handle on the inside, the nice leather wrap around the basket, and then this, once again, the glass, and then the glass blade. But I don't know, it just kind of looks weird. Now, we can take a look at the Nordic basket and the iron basket. Now, the reason we're going to look at both of them is because they're actually fairly similar to each other. The iron one being a little bit more worn down, almost looking like the leather in the basket is actually almost wood. It looks like it. Not to mention the iron casting around the actual basket looks very, very rusted, as opposed to the Nordic one, where the Nordic one is far more refined. The leather is way cleaner, and you know, instead of the iron wraps inside, instead of the braid wraps inside of the iron one, it looks like you've got kind of the golden wraps. Let's see. Yeah, you got the golden wraps, which is kind of nice. So both of those blades, they do look similar, but both of them have their own distinct look. Now the Orcish one, this one looks a little strange, and I'll tell you why, because look at the blade. It looks serrated, doesn't it? Well, it's actually not. It looks to be sort of like a stamped metal, probably using the Orichalcum, the green metal that you use to forge Orcish, which is kind of cool. It's a nice design. I think it would have looked a lot cooler if you flipped it. So instead of the lines going back this way, I wish they were going this way. So that way it kind of went with the blade, whereas this draws away from the blade, I think. But that's just my personal opinion. But I love the green accents around here. And then on the inside, it almost looks like the handle's made out of hay. But I know it's not. But let's see. We can also take a look at a couple of the other ones. Oh, I just fell through the world. That's awkward. Let's come up here. And there we go. Perfect. So let's see. The silver one is going to look really, really cool. And then, in fact, we'll look at one more. Looks like we've actually looked at them all. So you know what? Let's just drop the steel one, because the steel one and the silver one are by far the silver. This one is my favorite, next to the ebony. But let's see. This one right here is the silver one. Clearly, the blade is quite silver and very high resolution at that. I love the way the blade looks. And then the actual basket, I love the silver metal around it. This one down here, the pommel, looks way more refined. In fact, it looks like it's the most refined version of this blade. And I really, really like that. I like the wrapping on the inside as well. But the steel one just reminds me of a pirate. I don't know why. It just reminds me of a pirate sword. It just looks kind of cool. Now, the one thing that I love about this sword, and these swords in general, is the the craftsmanship of the modder who put these together. All of the swords are just about the same, they have the same aspects, they have everything like that, but each and every single one of them almost is a different sword because of the color combinations, the leather, the metals, the stamped metals, the regular metals, the brushed steel, the rusted iron, all that stuff. Each of them creates its own aesthetic, and I really, really like that. Not to mention, you can do this, and you can just have two in your hands at the same time. Now, whether or not you'd want to do that, I'm not actually sure, but if this was real life and you had a full plate armor plus the covers around your hands, you'd be pretty protected. Although there are a few things that could kill you, obviously, but kind of cool to see. Now, before we end off today's mod showcase, we're actually going to teleport up to the cheat room and see if we can enchant them. So yes, indeed, you can enchant them, and I also realized we didn't even look at the Dwarven one, but the Dwarven one, like I said before, looks very similar to all the other ones, except it looks like the Dwarven blade, with a little bit of customization down at the actual basket. So all of the swords can indeed be tempered, and they can also be enchanted, which is very, very nice. Now, like I said, you find them in each and every single one of these. There is another one right here, though. It's an Iron Basket Hilt Broadsword. I'm not sure what's different from it, though, because apparently you need the Rusty Iron Basket Hilt Broadsword, and I've yet to find that. But I forgot to read the actual description. An ornate, high-quality broadsword originating with the Nords of the Colovian Highlands. So that's pretty cool. So, guys, I very much hope you enjoyed today's little mod showcase, and these swords are perfect for anybody wanting to roleplay as kind of like a, what is it? Maybe like a, a cavalierman or something like that. Something pretty special. Not to mention these would look amazing on weapon plaques as well as display cases. So, guys, I very much hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I will see you in the next video.